I've always been really interested in what my science can do or putting my science into action. And I think that entrepreneurship is one of the ways that we can take something that is maybe just like a basic learning or a basic discovery and, yeah, do something that kind of has some impact on the world as well. I'm trying to help people with cystic fibrosis who have chronic infections by tuning their lung microbiomes with the use of inhalable probiotics. And that's going to protect them from acquiring respiratory tract infections that greatly shorten their lives. I'm uniquely positioned to do this because of my background both in respiratory health. So I've been developing novel technologies for respiratory health for about 8 years now. My background also in drug delivery, synthetic biology, and systems biology, as well as non-model organism engineering, I think has really positioned me well to sort of take this to the next level.